All right, guys, what is up? You are back for another video with DataZero. This is your daily outlook and prediction for stocks and crypto. This video is not financial advice, should not be taken as such. Please do your own research and due diligence for buying any stock or crypto asset. With that being said, we're gonna hop in the charts, facts, data, show you what is going on for the day and the rest of this week. So today was absolutely insane. We have a ton of stuff going on in the news cycle. We're gonna break it down. AMC, GME, SPY, AMC hitting new 52-week lows. Adam Aaron talking about investing into some companies where we don't have money. Also, Ken Griffin spotted in the White House. We're going to break all this down and more in this video. So let's hop right in. So the first thing you guys need to be aware of is this photo right here going crazy within the meme communities. Your boy Kenny G with the trumpet itself, ladies and gentlemen. So what do you guys think this means? Do you think the corruption is going to end? Trump has a meme coin. You literally see Ken Griffin in bed with Trump right now. What do you guys think this means? Do you still trust Trump, or do you guys think he is just part of the plan? So let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think this picture means. But Ken Griffin looking directly at the camera on the day that AMC hits 52-week lows. Kind of interesting. Is he trying to tell us something? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, GME. How has this even happened? GME warrants have FTDs. Why is this happening? How is this happening? How is this not illegal? And how are you having FTDs on GME warrants? These are going to have to come due. GME also building up FTDs as well. This is potential bullish pressure for both of these assets that could come into play in the future. Now we're going to talk about some of this other news in the stock market section, but we also have this as well. Top executives from like NYSE, NASDAQ, JP Morgan, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, basically Trump's handlers, are going to be meeting at the White House for a planned dinner. What do you guys think about that in the comments down below? Let me know. But as far as technicals are concerned, AMC hitting 52-week lows as Adam Aaron, the CEO himself, starts talking about investing into other companies. Me personally, I think Adam Aaron needs to focus on AMC. He needs to focus on not spending. He needs to focus on cutting his own salary and making AMC profitable and finding other revenues or areas of revenue for AMC to start bringing in more money, not spending money that we don't have. And this is why I said Adam Aaron spends foolishly, and this is why I voted no. In my personal opinion, I think no vote is the only answer. Now, a lot of people are saying we have to vote, we have to give them capital. Look what he does when you give him capital. He spends it recklessly on crazy investments. So again, you guys can tell me what you guys think about that investment. But as far as the technicals are concerned, AMC did hit a new 52-week low. Now, we have to be very, very careful around this, because if AMC loses the key level of $2.30, you're going to see a big dump to the downside. But based off everything we're looking here, most likely AMC is going to get a bounce. That's not the question. The question is AMC going to be able to bounce and continue to the upside? What we need to see to confirm that is AMC break above this sloping support and resistance here. That's why you guys want to like and subscribe. That way you guys can see my charts and always stay in tune with what's going on. I also go live all the time. Put the bell notification on. That way you know when I do go live. But we need to break above this sloping support and resistance, hold that level, and then we could potentially push to the upside, and that would confirm that AMC is bottoming. AMC is going to bounce. Again, that is not the question, but the question is, will we be able to break above this sloping support and resistance? I'm expecting AMC to come back up to about 239, 240. That's where we're going to meet major resistance. If we're able to hold 240, we could push back to the upside towards 245. Then if we could hold that, you could see another movement to the upside. But 245 is where I'm going to be looking for that potential rejection to the downside. And if AMC does reject to the downside again off this trend line, most likely AMC is going to be coming down to 225 or $2 even. Now, I'm not saying that's 100% going to be happening now, but if we bounce and we do not get above that trend line, those are going to be the next downside targets. Now, from everything I'm seeing here, most likely AMC is going to bounce, and I'll explain why. You guys can see we have this bullish hammer candle right here. RSI extremely oversold on the 2-hour time frame, 4-hour time frame, and getting close to oversold on the daily time frame as well. We're also outside of the bands, and again, we have that bullish hammer candle. all indicators that we're most likely going to be pushing back to the upside. Again, that's not the question. The question is, will we be able to break and hold 245, holding that level of support and then potentially bottoming, or are we going to reject from that level and then have to come down for lower lows, remaining in this overall downtrend that we've been in for quite some time right now. Now, also, GME is in a very peculiar situation as well, because GME is approaching that $20 to $18 floor. Now, we haven't got to the $20 level yet, and we're starting to see bullish clues. You guys can see the RSI starting to trend up, making a higher low. This is looking good. We're holding support right now. You do want to see GME, if possible, break back above $21 and hold that level. That would be a very, very good sign. But just like AMC, GME could see more downside before the recovery. I do think we are going to see recovery, but both of the meme stocks could see more downside before all of this happens. Another indication that GME is going to be bouncing around that $18 to $20 level and not losing it, because if we did lose $18 to $20, you could see a significant move down, because it's been the floor for us for quite some time. Another key that we're going to be holding that is all of these buy orders here. You guys see those green blocks on your screen? Those are all buy orders sitting as high as 2160 and going all the way down to 1883. Just a ton of buy orders here, ready to scoop up GME down at these lower levels. Again, this has been the floor ever since we made this big push to the upside here for GME, that $18 to $20 level. So this is why I believe it will remain the floor, and this is also why I know if we lose that level, you would see a significant dump. But based off of everything I'm looking at, I do not think we're going lower than $18 in my personal opinion. I've seen some pretty bearish price targets here for GME. Some people are talking about $18, or $10. Some people are talking about $15. I do not believe we lose $18. We might go briefly below it, but we're most likely going to be holding that floor and pushing to the upside. And once we do, we could see a potential rally. You guys can see every time we come down to that level, we get these nice rallies back to the upside. And if GME is able to sustain that rally moving towards $32, that's where things get very, very interesting, because that's where warrants come into play. Also, $30 is a major support and resistance for GME, which is able to hold. It could see a nasty move to the upside. Again, this is looking to the future, and we have multiple gap fills to the upside for GME, all the way up to that 29.38 to 29.65 level. So again, these gap fills are on the daily time frame. They will need to get filled. This is all the reasons why I believe GME is actually going to see a recovery and movement to the upside instead of losing $18 and dumping down. And if GME is able to do that, then AMC should be able to do the same. The only thing I'm worried about with AMC is obviously that December 10th vote. Again, in my personal opinion, I'm not going to break it down on this video, but in my personal opinion, that vote is going to be an absolute disaster for AMC if it does go through. Having a float of 550 million shares additional to what we already have would be a complete disaster in my personal opinion. And we already seen what Adam Aron does with our money. He doesn't spend it the way he says that he's going to. He actually spends it recklessly, again, on investments like this, $100 million on Coke machines and $25 million for a commercial from Nicole Kidman because he's simping. Ladies and gentlemen, do not give this man more of your money to waste, all right? So again, I voted no. Some of you guys say vote yes. I don't understand why. You guys can let me know why in the comments down below. But I believe the only answer and logical answer is to vote no. And unfortunately, you know, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but it's not looking good if we did get that yes vote, in my personal opinion. Now, we knew AMC was going to be having some issues because they did load up on a ton of short shares a couple days before all of this. This is why you want to watch this stuff. Right now, they have 6.3 million short shares available to short for AMC. They dumped a ton on AMC today as well, and they were dark pulling a lot on AMC. Cost to borrow sitting at 0.47%. Again, 6.3 million short shares. That could change as early as tomorrow morning, but it's a decent amount of short shares which they could do some damage with. It's not a crazy amount, but it's a decent amount that they can do some damage with, and they're obviously sitting on them for a reason. They're trying to keep this thing as low as possible heading into that December 10th date. That way they can make it to that date and then kick the can down the road once they get some liquidity, which I believe they're going to get from that additional dilution. So This is what we're looking at for AMC, GME, 2.3 million short shares here at time of recording at a cost of borrow of 0.50%. There are FTDs in play, and those FTDs will come due as well for both GME and GME warrants. Also, GME cost of borrow slowly trending up. It did drop down now. It's at 0.50%. It was higher, 0.90%, but you guys can see it's been spiking up, and it is in an overall uptrend. We want to see that cost of borrow go higher. Why? Because that's more bullish for GME. Why? Because the more expensive it is for them to short, the less short shares they're going to have. It also shows us in the background that liquidity is drying up. So cost of borrow moving in the right direction here for GME. But this is pretty much everything I'm looking at for the meme stocks. I think we're going to see a recovery on both of them. The only thing I'm worried about is AMC December 10th. Before we see that recovery, though, we could see a little bit more downside. You want to see GME get back above the key level of 2101 and hold that level. You want to see AMC back above the level of 245 and hold that level, and that could be a sign of this recovery that we are looking for. So this is what we're looking at for the meme stocks. Let's go ahead and move into SPY in the overall market, show you guys what's going on there. Now, we did have a ton of news. I told you guys I'll be breaking it down here. So again, we have a lot of top business execs, basically Trump's handlers, are going to be meeting at the White House. Now, the main thing that I think is driving the overall downtrend in the market, in my personal opinion, along some things being priced in the market, like the government opening up, because if you are not aware, the government did open back up, ladies and gentlemen. But SPY is so high and RSI is so high, and we are so frothy that there's literally nowhere else to go but down, okay? So again, these things were priced in. We thought the government shutdown could potentially cause bullishness, but it was the exact opposite. Buy the rumors, sell the news. We also had some technicals saying some bearishness was coming for SPY, which we're going to break down here in a second. But SPY is not looking good. We also have this craziness on the horizon, which nobody's talking about. Trump weighing military options to attack Venezuela. You've heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. War with potential countries in South America. Things are getting crazy. There's more on that as well. You guys can read this breakdown if you want. But there's also warships, U.S. warships moving into the region as well. And Venezuela is mobilizing troops. So things are heating up. This is serious, and this is another conflict that could be on the horizon. Hopefully it doesn't go down, because this would be absolute insanity. And this is what I actually think is mostly driving the market to the downside, in my personal opinion. Now, as far as the charts go, this is pretty much what we called for the weekly outlook and prediction. I told you guys that we would see a rally to the upside towards 683, 685, and then we will start to see a pullback. And so far, this is exactly what we are seeing. Now, what do we expect for tomorrow? This is going to be a little bit different. Do not get shaken out, ladies and gentlemen. What you're going to see tomorrow is a little bit of recovery. Most likely in pre-market, you're going to see a recovery back up to 674.05. And then during market open, you'll probably see a move towards 675 or 676.18. We'll probably make a lower high and then continue to the downside. Now, the thing that's going on right now, there are multiple gap fills to the upside for SPY and NASDAQ. So we do want to be careful, because this thing could recover back to the upside. But right now, things are looking very, very bearish in some of the key stocks that hold up the overall market, like NVIDIA and Apple. I told you guys, if those pull back together, you're going to see absolute dumpage. Both NVIDIA and Apple were down today, and they are looking slightly bearish here on the technicals as well. You guys can see the MACD's red on the 4-hour time frame. RSI is not yet oversold, so there's room to run to the downside here on the 4-hour time frame. So we could see a little bit more downside before this is all said and done. But as far as SPY is concerned, I believe what we're going to see is a slight recovery back to the upside and then a pull back down. And again, you guys can see here what my prediction is I think we're going to come up to about 675, 676, make a lower high, and then correct back to the downside. And then we could see even more bearish coming into the next couple of days. So you want to be really, really, really careful. But we're going to be watching this thing very, very closely. But overall, the crash that started from the breakdown of this bear flag that we tracked, because I told you guys as soon as we broke down the bear flag, we would dump. Then we got this bounce. I told you we would come up and correct down. This is not over yet, and we are not out of the woods. Now, if we do make a higher low, there is a very good chance that NASDAQ will be able to rip to the upside to fill these gaps. but that still doesn't mean anything. We'll probably correct down because if you guys look at the macro on things, and this is what you always got to keep your eye on, weekly MACD is curling down, almost about to go red. RSI is very, very hot, 64 right here on the weekly time frame. Again, no room to run to the upside. Also, monthly RSI is already in that overbought territory. When monthly RSI gets us hot on SPY, you guys can see we normally have corrections to the downside to correct that and come back down into regular conditions. So again, we're in that overbought territory here on SPY RSI. Most likely you're going to see a pullback because we are in those frothy levels here on the monthly time frame. So this is what we're looking at for SPY. Be very, very careful. Again, the AI bubble could be coming to an end. We're also not getting any of that economic data that we were supposed to be getting from all the data drops. You have to wonder yourself, what are they hiding? So a lot of things going on. Make sure you guys stay on your P's and Q's because this market is about to get crazy and volatility is about to be way, way up. You guys can see the VIX spike today. All right. So that means the volatility is going to be up. VIX sitting at 20 and things are about to get crazy. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. We'll be going live and giving you guys those predictions and technicals as they do come available. But this is what we're looking at for SPY. Let's go ahead and move into BTC and crypto, show you guys what's going on there, and then we'll wrap up this video. So Bitcoin is in a very, very precarious situation right now. We did manage to get back above 100K briefly here, you guys can see, but it looks like we might be retesting as resistance. This might be the beginning of the end for BTC. Now, of course, in the long run, I think it's going to be bullish overall, but we might see a sustained amount of pullback, especially if we lose this trend line and lose 100,000 here on BTC. We could see a move down to the downside towards 80 or 75K, believe it or not. Now, the crazy thing is you have to really think about what's going on with the psychology and everything. People are looking at Bitcoin at 100,000 and thinking that's bearish. And you have to really think about that. 100,000 per BTC is now bearish. So the floor is definitely moving up. Also, if you go ahead and look at the crypto fear and greed, we're in extreme fear. All right. And then also RSI, not on the weekly time frame, but on the smaller time frames, is getting close to that oversold territory. Even on the daily time frame, we're sitting at 34. So buyers will be stepping in, but we could just get a bounce that will lead us to a continuation down. Overall, it does look like BTC potentially is topping out. Now, I did talk about a potential altcoin season potentially coming because that normally does happen in these later stages of the bull run. But if BTC loses 100K and dumps, altcoins will dump with it. You guys can see that BTC pulled back only 2.25%, 2.33% to be exact. Ethereum pulling back 7%, Cardano 8 pulling back 5%, Dogecoin pulling back 6%. So if Bitcoin dumps, altcoins are going to dump even more because that Bitcoin dominance is still extremely high, 58% here at time of recording. And as long as that Bitcoin dominance remains high, when Bitcoin pulls back, altcoins are going to pull back. When Bitcoin pumps, altcoins are going to pump. That's just the way it's going to be. So again, you want to be watching Bitcoin, especially if you're just in any crypto at all. Even if you don't hold Bitcoin, you still want to be watching BTC. Now, we did get the XRP ETFs. XRP, a lot of people were expecting it to explode right away and stuff like that. That's not how it works, all right? The ETF is bullish, but you're not going to see it explode right away. Also, the XRP right now, I hate to say it, is heavily manipulated. That's why you see this huge block of sell orders that will just not leave. They've been here for days and days and days and days. They're trying to keep it pinned. We also have these buy orders here. They're trying to keep it pinned, accumulate underneath $2.50. Why do I think that? Because I think all of these assets are worth more. You're going to see a move to the upside for XRP, but people are trying to accumulate before that happens. Anything under $2.50 is a buy in my personal opinion. We will be tracking the XRP ETF. It wasn't a really good day for it to open up because obviously the market was dumping, but it's under the ticker symbol XRPC and it is trading on the NASDAQ and it is a spot ETF. So this is very, very bullish, especially for the long term for XRP. And coins with ETFs, I believe, are going to be coins that can move into the future. Again, I believe that the Bitcoin and crypto market is going to consolidate. You're going to see some of these more obscure altcoins start to disappear, meme coins start to disappear as the market matures. And only key top altcoins are going to be the ones that move forward into the future. It's kind of going to be like the .com bubble when everything with the name .com exploded. But what do we have now? Just a few key winners like Amazon and some other winners that came from that era. So again, it's going to be something similar to that in my personal opinion. So this is very, very good news for XRP holders and anyone holding XRP. Definitely bullish, but it's something that's going to take time. As demand comes into the spot ETF, they will have to buy XRP because it is a spot ETF. They're going to have to buy out of the open market. So this is bullish. Again, XRP having an ETF, Bitcoin having an ETF, Ethereum having ETF. Top altcoins are the ones to look for. If you look at coins like Ethereum, again, we're coming back inside of this overall sloping support and resistance, using it as resistance now. So this is also more signs of downside. So I can't sit here and say that it looks extremely bullish and rosy here for everything for the crypto market, as it looks like we're going to be seeing some pullback for both BTC and key altcoins. So just be ready for that. Ethereum downside targets potentially are 3,000. XRP downside targets, we have some buy orders here at 228 all the way down to $2. If XRP goes under $2, that's an absolute steal in my personal opinion. If we do see a pullback on crypto, me personally, I will be accumulating more, but that's because I'm holding my crypto for a long position in the future. I kind of look at it like a retirement thing, and I'm just stacking, and I'll offload in the future because I think crypto is going to be worth fundamentally more due to the devaluation of the dollar and the fundamentals of things like 21 million coins fixed capped on BTC. But this is pretty much everything we're looking at for the stock and crypto market. News cycle was crazy today. We'll be keeping you guys plugged in. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. That way you can get all of this information that does come available. We also go live all the time. If you watch the end of this video, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you check out the merch store if you want to support the channel in a different way. But if you want to support for absolutely free, leave a like, comment, share, all of that good stuff. And as always, y'all, make sure you do this most of all. Have fun, stay safe, make money. Peace out.